A group of teenagers who prank strangers for laughs are about to learn that their next caller isn't playing a joke at all. The film opens with a woman getting a call from someone claiming to be a police officer, warning her that intruders have broken into her house and that her daughter is in danger down the hall. Panicked, she drops the phone and runs, not realizing it was all a prank, staged by a group of teenage pranksters who record calls like this for views online. We then meet Sam, one of the pranksters, home alone and dealing with problems in his relationship with his girlfriend Peyton. His best friend Brady shows up, and the two decide to spend the night making more prank calls, targeting neighbors, random strangers, and even Sam's own girlfriend at work. In the middle of their fun, they get a call from a mysterious man who warns them he'll teach them a lesson for laughing at other people's pain. They brush him off and hang up, not realizing how serious he really is. The mystery caller, who calls himself Mr. Lee, keeps calling back, and it quickly becomes clear he knows disturbing amounts of personal information about both boys, their names, addresses, and even details about their private lives. When the boys try calling for help, every call gets picked up by Mr. Lee himself, revealing that he's watching and listening to everything happening inside the house. Then the horror escalates. Mr. Lee reveals he's holding Brady's parents hostage along with two other members of their prank group, Mosley and Roy. One by one, they're murdered in front of the boys through video feeds and hidden cameras placed throughout the house. Mr. Lee forces the boys into a horrible choice. One of them must kill the other to save the people they love. As the night spirals into chaos, Sam discovers a painful betrayal of his own, footage revealing that Peyton and Brady had secretly been together behind his back. Heartbroken and furious, Sam still refuses to give in to Mr. Lee's demands, holding on to hope that his loved ones might still be alive. Eventually, the full truth comes out. Mr. Lee reveals he's the husband of the woman from the opening scene, and the father of the little girl who died that night. After the boys' cruel prank convinced her that intruders were inside her home, she panicked, grabbed a gun, and accidentally shot her own daughter in the dark, then took her own life out of grief. Mr. Lee has spent all this time planning revenge against the boys responsible. In the film's brutal climax, Sam ends up in a violent struggle in the dark backyard, believing he's fighting Mr. Lee himself. He stabs his attacker, only to discover in horror that it was actually Brady the entire time, his mouth taped shut, unable to warn him. Mr. Lee then finally reveals himself, blaming Sam directly for destroying his family and vowing that he'll suffer the exact same loss in return. The next morning, Sam wakes up surrounded by the bodies of everyone he cared about, framed for every single murder, including Peyton's. As police arrive and arrest him, a news report closes out the film, stating that Sam was driven to jealous rage after discovering his girlfriend's affair, and that he was the one responsible for the entire massacre.
If you've made it this far into the recap, you're clearly someone who likes getting straight to the good stuff without wasting 2 hours. That's exactly who this channel is built for. Subscribing just means you'll never miss a breakdown like this one. All right, back to the movie.
A woman's first date after escaping an abusive marriage turns into a deadly game when a stranger orders her to kill the man sitting across from her, or her young son will die. Violet is a therapist who helps women recover from abusive relationships. After years of rebuilding her life, she finally agrees to go on a date with a photographer named Henry. Her sister Jen stays home to watch Violet's young son Toby, while Violet heads to an upscale rooftop restaurant. At first, the evening goes well. Henry is kind, respectful, and even brings a small gift for Toby. But everything changes when Violet starts receiving strange messages through an app called DigiDrop. At first, they seem like random jokes. Then the messages become threatening. The sender orders Violet to check her home security cameras. She is horrified to see a masked man inside her house holding a gun while Jen and Toby have no idea he is there. The stranger warns her not to leave the restaurant, call the police, or ask anyone for help. If she does, Toby will be killed. Trying to stay calm, Violet follows the stranger's instructions while pretending everything is normal. She soon learns that hidden listening devices have been placed around the restaurant, allowing the criminal to hear every conversation. Every attempt she makes to secretly get help fails. The stranger first orders Violet to steal the memory card from Henry's camera. When she looks through the camera, she discovers photos showing the city's mayor meeting with dangerous criminals, along with financial records that expose corruption. Violet destroys the memory card to protect her son. Then the stranger gives her a bottle of poison and orders her to kill Henry. Violet cannot bring herself to murder an innocent man. Instead, she keeps delaying while looking for another way to save Toby. Her efforts only make things worse. One of her secret attempts to ask for help accidentally leads to the restaurant's pianist, Phil, being poisoned. As the night continues, Henry and Violet begin opening up to each other. Violet shares the painful story of her abusive husband, Blake, while Henry admits he has also been hurt by someone he trusted. Their conversation helps Violet realize Henry is a good man who does not deserve to die. Eventually, Violet uncovers the truth. An elderly man named Richard, who had been sitting nearby all evening, reveals that he is behind the entire plan. He works for the corrupt mayor and explains that Henry is secretly helping the FBI expose the mayor's crimes. Richard chose Violet because he believed her troubled past would make it easy to frame her for Henry's murder. Violet pretends to obey by acting as if she poisoned Henry's drink. In reality, she secretly puts the poison into Richard's dessert. When Richard realizes he has been tricked, he pulls out a gun and shoots Henry. Panic spreads through the restaurant as Richard chases Violet. During the struggle, he crashes through a broken glass wall and falls to his death. Violet races home after learning the masked intruder has returned. Jen bravely fights to protect Toby, but she is shot during the struggle. Violet arrives just in time to face the attacker. When he removes his mask, she recognizes him as the utility worker who visited her house earlier that day. After a violent fight, Toby distracts the attacker with his remote-controlled toy car carrying a hidden gun. Violet grabs the weapon and shoots the intruder, saving her family. Later, the mayor's corruption is exposed, Henry recovers from his injuries, and Violet finally finds hope again. The movie ends with Violet and Henry planning a second date after surviving the most terrifying night of their lives together. Two brothers pull a harmless prank on a lonely truck driver. They soon discover they've picked the wrong man to mess with. Lewis Thomas is a college student driving across the country to visit his longtime crush, Venna. Before meeting her, he stops to pick up his older brother, Fuller, who has just been released from prison. Lewis has also bought the used car he's always wanted, hoping the trip will be a fresh start. As they continue their journey, Fuller buys a CB radio and installs it in the car. He convinces Lewis to use it to prank truck drivers during the long drive. Lewis pretends to be a woman named Candy Cane and begins flirting with the truck driver who goes by the name Rusty Nail. The prank starts out as harmless fun, but Fuller decides to take it further. Pretending to be Candy Cane, Lewis invites Rusty Nail to meet at a motel in room 17. The problem is that room 17 belongs to a traveling businessman, not the brothers. That night, Rusty Nail arrives at the motel expecting to meet Candy Cane. Instead, he brutally attacks the man staying in the room. The next morning, Lewis and Fuller learn the businessman survived but suffered terrible injuries. Realizing their prank caused the attack, they quickly leave town. Unfortunately, Rusty Nail isn't finished with them. Using the CB radio, he contacts the brothers and reveals he's been following them. Fuller refuses to apologize and keeps insulting him, only making the situation worse. Rusty Nail begins stalking them across lonely highways, turning their road trip into a nightmare. At one point, the brothers think they're being chased by Rusty Nail, only to discover the man behind them is an innocent customer returning Lewis's ATM card. But moments later, the real Rusty Nail appears in his massive truck and nearly forces them off the road. After a dangerous chase, Fuller finally apologizes over the radio. Rusty Nail drives away, making the brothers believe the nightmare is over. Soon, Lewis finally meets Venna and introduces her to Fuller. Hoping to relax, the three spend the evening together, but Rusty Nail is still watching. He calls Lewis at the motel and reveals he has become interested in Venna as well. The friends rush outside and discover Rusty Nail secretly placed another CB radio in Lewis's car so he can keep talking to them. Then they hear the terrified screams of Venna's friend Charlotte. Rusty Nail has kidnapped her and orders Lewis and Fuller to follow his instructions if they want to see her alive again. He forces the brothers through a series of cruel games, humiliating them before leading them to an empty cornfield. There, Rusty Nail chases them with his truck, kidnaps Venna, and burns Lewis's car, leaving the brothers with almost nothing. Their final destination is another motel. Lewis and Fuller rush inside to rescue Venna, but Rusty Nail has turned the place into a deadly trap. Fuller sneaks into the room while Lewis searches for another way inside. During the struggle, Rusty Nail escapes in his truck just as police officers arrive. The officers unknowingly trigger one of Rusty Nail's traps, but Lewis manages to save Venna before the room explodes. Outside, Rusty Nail drives his truck straight into the motel, causing a massive crash. Charlotte is rescued alive, but Rusty Nail disappears before anyone can catch him. Later, the police reveal that Rusty Nail worked as a truck driver for an ice company. Although everyone believes the nightmare is over, the final scene tells a different story. Truck drivers across the country suddenly hear Rusty Nail's familiar voice speaking over their CB radios, proving he's still out there searching for his next victim. A group of friends ignores one simple warning, and before the weekend is over, each of them is being hunted by the terrifying fate written in a cursed deck of tarot cards. The movie begins with 7 college friends: Haley, Grant, Paxton, Paige, Elise, Madeline, and Lucas celebrating Elise's birthday at an old mansion they rented for the weekend. During a party game, everyone teases Haley and Grant about getting married someday, but Haley reveals they recently broke up because they wanted different things in life. Later that night, the group searches the mansion for more alcohol and discovers a locked basement marked with a keep out sign. Curious, they force the door open and find a room filled with strange antiques. Among them is an old wooden box containing a beautiful but unsettling deck of hand-painted tarot cards. Since Haley knows a little about tarot, her friends convince her to read their fortunes. She hesitates because she knows it's considered bad luck to use someone else's deck, but Elise insists since it's her birthday. As the reading begins, a cold wind blows through the room, making Haley uneasy. Each friend receives a card with a warning. Elise is told not to climb too fast or she will suffer a terrible fall. Madeline is warned not to run from danger. Paige is told she may be tricked and unable to see the truth. Paxton receives the Fool, warning him not to make reckless choices or become trapped. Lucas is told poor decisions could lead him down the wrong path. Grant draws the Devil, forcing him to face his darkest side or lose someone he loves. Haley draws Death, a card she always receives, predicting that love will one day lead to her own end. The next morning, everyone returns to campus, believing it was all harmless fun. But that night, Elise begins hearing strange noises in her dorm room. A mysterious ladder keeps appearing beneath the attic. When she investigates, she is attacked by the terrifying High Priestess from her tarot card and dies in a horrifying accident. Soon after, Lucas is chased through a subway station by the ghostly Hermit. His lucky lottery win and poor choices match Haley's earlier reading, and he also dies. Realizing the deaths perfectly match the tarot predictions, Haley searches online and discovers a woman named Alma Astrom, the only known survivor of a similar curse decades earlier. Alma explains that the cursed deck belonged to a Hungarian astrologer whose daughter was murdered after a nobleman blamed her for predicting his family's deaths. Heartbroken, the astrologer performed a dark ritual, binding her spirit to the cards. Ever since, anyone whose fortune is read from the deck is hunted by the living forms of their tarot cards. The remaining friends race back to the mansion, hoping to destroy the deck, but even fire cannot burn it. Before they can find another solution, Madeline is hunted by the Hanged Man after running from danger, exactly as her reading predicted. Paxton later ignores Haley's warnings and leaves the group, only to be chased by the creepy Fool. Alma arrives and performs a ritual to separate the spirit from the cards, but the astrologer turns on her instead, killing her with the Six of Swords. Paige soon becomes trapped by the magician, who slices her in half during a twisted magic show. Grant is dragged away by the devil, while Haley is hunted by death itself. In one final attempt to end the curse, Haley performs a tarot reading for the angry spirit instead. She realizes the cards are reversed, showing the astrologer's endless pain. Haley tells her that holding on to revenge will never heal her loss. As the spirit attacks, Haley reveals her own death card. The ritual finally succeeds, freeing the astrologer's soul to reunite with her daughter. The cursed cards burn away, ending the nightmare. Haley and Grant escape the mansion and are surprised when Paxton drives up, alive. His roommate had opened the elevator doors just in time, preventing the Fool from finishing him. The three friends leave together, knowing they barely escaped a curse that had claimed everyone else. A man discovers that luck can be stolen, traded, and even gambled away. But defeating the world's luckiest man may cost him everything. The movie begins in a remote casino hidden in the Spanish desert. A bald man keeps winning at roulette until a visitor named Federico casually brushes his hand. Moments later, the bald man loses everything, while Federico wins a huge jackpot on a slot machine. It soon becomes clear that Federico has a supernatural gift. He can steal another person's luck simply by touching them. Federico is then taken to meet Samuel, the mysterious owner of the casino. Samuel reveals that he is old, sick, and wants Federico to inherit everything after he dies. But Federico refuses, saying he only wants what he earns himself. Angry, Samuel touches Federico, stripping away his gift before having his own men beat him and leave him stranded in the desert. We also learn that Samuel is a Holocaust survivor with a concentration camp tattoo, hinting that his incredible luck has kept him alive for decades. 7 years later, a plane crashes, killing 237 people. Amazingly, one man survives. His name is Thomas, and police discover a large amount of stolen money hidden on his body. While recovering in the hospital, Thomas is approached by Federico, who now works as an insurance investigator. Federico explains that surviving such a disaster is almost impossible, making Thomas one of the luckiest people alive. Federico secretly helps Thomas escape from the hospital and offers him a strange deal. They will gamble using Thomas's incredible luck and split everything they win. However, Federico warns Thomas never to touch him and never allow anyone to photograph him without permission. The two enter an underground world where luck is treated like money. Wealthy gamblers bet houses, cars, fortunes, and even body parts in bizarre contests. Winners are chosen through dangerous games that seem impossible to predict. Thanks to Thomas's extraordinary luck, they win expensive prizes, including a luxury house. Meanwhile, police officer Sarah begins investigating Thomas's escape, she is also the sole survivor of a tragic car accident that killed her husband and daughter. Like Thomas, she unknowingly possesses unusual luck. During her investigation, she meets Alejandro, another gambler, who tells her about Samuel and the secret society built around gambling with luck itself. As Federico and Thomas continue playing, Thomas slowly learns the truth. Players can steal luck through physical contact, while Polaroid photographs of lucky people are treated like valuable possessions that can also be wagered. Without telling Thomas, Federico secretly bets a photograph of Thomas's girlfriend, Anna, placing her fate at risk. Soon, Alejandro wins the photograph during another deadly competition. He later faces Samuel in a high-stakes game of Russian roulette, where the winner claims another person's luck. Alejandro loses, while at the exact same moment, Anna is accidentally shot by a police officer searching her apartment. Although she survives, Thomas realizes Federico's secret gamble has placed her life in danger. Enraged, Thomas forces Federico to explain everything. Federico admits that only Samuel can undo the wager now. The only way to save Anna is to challenge Samuel himself in one final game. Thomas travels to the desert casino, where Samuel reveals the painful truth behind his own gift. As a child in a Nazi concentration camp, everyone around him died while he somehow survived. Samuel believes he unknowingly consumed the luck of those closest to him, leaving him burdened with guilt for the rest of his life. The final game is another deadly round of Russian roulette. Thomas bets Federico's future while Samuel wagers Anna's fate. During the tense showdown, police officer Sarah arrives, leading to chaos when the lights suddenly go out. Multiple gunshots echo through the room. When the lights return, nearly everyone has been fatally wounded except Thomas. With Samuel dead, Thomas retrieves Anna's photograph and burns it, finally freeing her from the dangerous game. Federico chooses to remain behind, accepting his fate, while Thomas walks alone into the desert, leaving the deadly world of stolen luck behind forever. 50 young men are chosen for one impossible contest, where the only rule is simple: never stop walking, or die where you stand. The story follows Raymond Ray Garrity, one of 50 teenage boys chosen to compete in a deadly event called the Long Walk. The winner will receive unlimited wealth and one wish, but there's a horrifying catch. The contestants must keep walking at least 3 miles per hour. Falling below that speed earns a warning. 3 warnings mean instant execution by the soldiers following behind. Although Ray's mother begs him not to compete, he refuses, believing this is his chance to change his future. Before the walk begins, Ray befriends Peter McVries, Hank, Baker, and several other contestants. The Major, the ruthless leader of the event, reminds everyone that after a devastating war, the competition exists to inspire discipline and productivity across the nation. The walk begins, and the boys try to stay positive despite the constant pressure. They joke, share stories, and dream about what they would do if they won. But the cheerful mood quickly disappears when the youngest contestant collapses from painful cramps and is shot after receiving 3 warnings. The horrifying death makes everyone realize that there is no escape from the rules. As the miles pass, exhaustion, hunger, and lack of sleep push the contestants to their limits. Some collapse from illness, while others lose hope and intentionally stop walking. Every death leaves the remaining boys more shaken, but they have no choice except to keep moving. Ray, Peter, Hank, and Baker become close friends, calling themselves the 3 Musketeers, even though there are 4 of them. Meanwhile, Barkovich constantly mocks the others and celebrates every elimination because it improves his own chances. His cruel behavior eventually catches up with him as guilt and exhaustion slowly destroy his mind. By the third day, only a handful of contestants remain. During one conversation, Ray reveals the real reason he joined the competition. Years earlier, the Major executed his father for teaching ideas that the government considered dangerous. If Ray wins, he plans to wish for a rifle and use it to kill the Major in revenge. The endless walking continues as more contestants die. Hank finally gives up after becoming too weak to continue, leaving his friends heartbroken. Later, Baker also realizes he cannot survive and asks Ray and Peter to deliver his locket to his grandmother before willingly accepting his fate. Eventually, only Ray, Peter, and Stebbins remain. Stebbins reveals that he is secretly the Major's illegitimate son and joined the competition hoping to finally earn his father's acceptance. Sadly, his body gives out and he is executed, leaving only Ray and Peter. The two exhausted friends reach Ray's hometown, where he briefly sees his mother. Overcome with emotion, Ray almost stops walking, but Peter saves him just in time. The pair continue together until they become the final two survivors. Knowing only one person can win, Peter decides to sacrifice himself so Ray can live. However, Ray refuses to let his friend die for him. Moments later, Ray's accumulated warnings catch up to him and the soldiers shoot him before Peter can save him. Peter is declared the winner as the crowd erupts in celebration. The Major congratulates him and asks for his wish. Peter requests a soldier's rifle, claiming he wants to pass it down to his future children. Trusting him, the Major grants the request. Instead, Peter raises the rifle, looks directly at the Major, and quietly says, "This is for Ray." He pulls the trigger, killing the dictator and finally avenging his fallen friend. The film ends with Peter walking alone into the rain, carrying the weight of survival and the memories of everyone he lost along the way.